Hi everyone, my name is Charlie and today is the beginning of another reading vlog. It's Monday, I am off work until Friday, however I did just participate in a meeting of staff representatives to do with ongoing things at work. Since last we spoke, we've had a Sunday, and in that Sunday I got some more writing done of the current writing project that I keep saying has taken over my life. And I also continued reading The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame. I am now over halfway through this book, looking forward to finishing it today. I was trying to make plans with my sister and then it turned out that she's not off work today as I had previously thought. Therefore, I've been thinking, what am I going to do with today? I knew that I had this meeting and part of me wonders, do I do another whole writing day? Because I found that really beneficial to exert some of that energy that I had accumulated in the first few days of working on this project. Do I also throw some reading in there? Do I treat this as I treat the other days that I would usually have off and try and get some reading and writing done, but a rather significant amount? Could I finish another book today? I would like to record a May favourites video this month and currently I've not read enough to go on there. Really much to chat about. Sally and I had a walk down the towpath and I saw a heron. I'm hoping we're going to get a walk today. Outside looks a little bit bleak, but part of me thinks that that's fine and we've coped with bleakness before. I'm not sure what walk I want to do because last week there was a lot of walking around the forest, and whilst it has been the inspiration for this new project, I did this different walk where I saw part of the forest that I haven't been to for a while, and then the sister and I did the walk that I've been calling a longer walk. Walking with my sister does make me realise that I perhaps go a bit slower when I'm walking on my own, but then I also wonder, does it take longer because I tend to stop and record things, or because we're just two different types of walkers? I enjoy going along, enjoying nature. I'll stop and look at things for a few minutes, and she is very much, let's just get this walk done. But she also very much enjoys an adventure. I don't know. We've done the forest a lot, but then I've done the towpath the last 2 days because I will not go to the forest at the weekend. I don't know. My father talks about the fact that there are a lot of walks around this area. Why don't I go and do a different one? And I don't know. Now that I've had this meeting, I want to go. I want to get a cup of coffee and I want to practice Italian. Wednesday, and I was saying to my sister yesterday that I hoped it rained today and that I had an excuse not to leave the house, if nothing more than to spend a day reading and writing and resting my ankle, because I did something to it a few weeks ago. I think it's just plantar fasciitis or something like that, but I really think that I ought to rest it, and I've not been doing that, and it's in a world of pain. Anyway, I finished reading The Wind in the Willows on Monday. I finally knuckled down and got it done. I think after reading Written on the Body over a fortnight ago now, I had hoped that I would continue to read books that really excited me and that they had engaging prose. I wanted to read Streets of Laredo, but that never was going to have prose like that, so I put that aside, which disappointed me because that's 2 years in a row. And then part of me begins to wonder, well, maybe Lonesome Dove is the only McMurtry I end up reading, but also part of me thinks, is that attitude only appearing because I haven't read as many books this month as I would want to, and I'm staring at June, knowing that I like to read 10 books a month, knowing that I've only read 4. But The Wind in the Willows bored me. I think that had I read this when I was a child, had I read it around the time that I read 101 Dalmatians, or maybe it might have bored me in year 4 as well. I don't know what year as a child I would have liked this book, because I'd seen the film and the book is nothing like the film. I think that I was equating The Wind in the Willows with the animals of Farthing Wood. There's just something about the book that I didn't like. I thought it was very dry and somewhat boring, and the characters were very stylistic of the time. I can understand what the appeal was. It's very episodic, so if you're reading this to children, then you could read one story a night for a fortnight, and they probably were made for bedtime reading. But I did not care for Toad. I did not understand all of these. Yeah, it's a children's book, it's a children's classic, and it wasn't for me, and let's not overanalyze things. That means we're really not having a successful reading month in May. However, the writing has continued. I wrote a rather large amount on Monday, and then read, and I walked Sal. I said to my sister when we were walking yesterday, but I'll get to that in a minute, that I went to the forest with the intention of only doing a short walk, and ended up doing another near 2-hour walk because I went back to the lay-by from last week due to the fact that there was a cyclist in front of me who was annoying me. Did that. Then yesterday, after I chatted to Charlie, what did I do? I don't know, but I ended up at the forest. Well, I decided to go for a walk down the towpath. I wanted to do the long 2-hour loop that I do, but I ended up stopping at a point that got me back home within an hour and a half, and then I'd only been home for half an hour, had the world's dullest sandwich. I had no halloumi in, and I previously had avocado and halloumi with sweet chilli sauce. I enjoyed that. Didn't have halloumi, so tried mozzarella. Mozzarella and avocado are two of the most flavourless foodstuffs on this planet. I had the most flavourless sandwich ever. And then my sister sent me a message, did I want to walk with her around the forest before we went to paint pottery in the evening? So I did. So I've overexerted the ankle that was already painful, but then I said to her that really, I was glad to do that because if it is pouring down today, I won't be walking, Sal, so it's still like the same length of walking. And she said, why do we feel guilty when we don't walk? We walked around the forest, we had a great time, and then we went to paint pottery together. My sister got a jug. This was at Periwinkle and Clay in Macclesfield. My sister, I think, a lot of people have done pottery painting now. We hadn't done it before. It was our first time going. I said I'd take her for her 30th birthday because I recognise that she prefers experiences to gifts. She's still going to end up with something at the end of this. A jug that she painted herself with a nice farmyard scene. And I was just putting dots. I did a triangle of dots on this container that I thought would be great for stationery, and she mocked me. She mocked me incessantly. I was very, very kind about hers because hers did look amazing. Well, I did what was within my skill set, is what I will say. I have continued to write this week, although I didn't get much writing done yesterday. This project has overtaken my mind, as I've said, and I've been working through names and things again. And I have read one chapter from Black Swan Green by David Mitchell. To be fair, that one chapter was nearly 30 pages, but it's very evocative of the 1980s. I'm saying, as somebody who didn't live through the 80s, but there is a sense of freedom from childhood, and there are a lot of brand names mentioned, and I'm still trying to figure out for myself, is it too much, or is it exactly how children are, you know, as teenagers are we this obsessive with designer names and brands and that sort of thing. I can remember being in primary school, and if you turned up to school with the off-brand stuff, then you got mocked. You've got food from Aldi because your mum hates you. That was it. If your mother shopped at Aldi, if she had to go and shop at a cheaper place, then it meant she was dirt poor and scum of the earth. And honestly, a lot of middle-class kids believe this, and you know, they only learn this from their parents, so now I imagine they're shopping at Aldi and acting like it's the best thing in the world. I thought that it wasn't going to be a weird David Mitchell book, but we had a moment of weirdness and possible ghostliness that we couldn't tell whether it was a apparition or whether it was just the protagonist scaring himself. That was that. And today plans are, I have practiced Italian and a bath, and it's getting on for 10 to 12, so I am going to go and read some more, drink a cup of coffee, and get some writing done. I have returned to work for the first time in 10 days. There are a lot of books to sort. The books in the shop are in disarray, which means that we probably haven't been selling that many this week. And I've arrived to discover that somebody left the money out of the safe last night. Didn't speak to you at all yesterday. Had the writers group, went well. Joy led a workshop. It was all about beginnings. It was great. And then she'd mentioned about a monologue slam that I can remember saying I was going to attend. And at first I said, no, I'm not going to do that. The weather's terrible. But then there was nobody in my house in the evening, so I just asked whether one of them would give me a lift into town, because they were off to do something with the sheep anyway. And I went and watched the monologue slam hosted by Northern Rep Company. And while it didn't have as many contestants as they expected, and while I refused to get up and say a question for them, for I am an unutterable grump, it was a lovely night indeed. I'd said months ago that if ever I were to do something like a monologue slam, I'd do this monologue that I performed for GCSE, which was a Victoria Wood monologue called Notes, as performed by Julie Walters in As Seen on TV. And the contestant who got up last night and who won performed that one. I mean, naturally, not as good as I could have done it, because nobody can surpass my great acting skills, but people are free to attempt to do so. Now, I am being incredibly facetious there. I haven't done no acting for at least 14 years now, and have to say that it's not something I intend to do again in future. I, at one point in my history, thought that that would be a career path I'd go down, and then I never did. And I think I discovered pretty early on that whilst I enjoyed being on the stage and attempting performances, I'm not actually good. So anyway, Wednesday I ended up staying in and doing exactly what I said, which was sitting in a corner and reading Black Swan Green and writing. I have 150 pages left to read of that book, and I probably am not going to finish it until I'm probably not going to finish it this evening, so it's going to be a book for the weekend, and I'll look to getting that read by Sunday. And then, well, that's a 2-book week. I borrowed another poetry and book off Joy yesterday, because apparently we're no longer sticking to this thing of only reading stuff off our shelves. Because of last night, Usually I have to go through this entire process of winding down now at my old age, and because I didn't go through that I couldn't get to sleep, so I did not sleep until 3 o'clock this morning, and I woke up again at 6, and that's what I'm working on today. So I'm trying to withhold any grumpiness that might appear. It's a tough one. It's Saturday, and as always today we are here to round off this video. Yesterday I continued to read Black Swan Green by David Mitchell, and as I said yesterday, I haven't finished it yet, but hopefully will finish it tomorrow, because I believe I only have around 80 pages left if I get some read today and some read tomorrow, sorted for Monday, and then this final week of May just going to try and get a fair bit of reading done. Me and this project had a bit of a, not an argument yesterday, but one of those worrisome times when I feel like I figured out points. I'm now like, right, now I've got to write the thing, and that's scary. Hair is in utter disarray today. I do not know what happened. I do think this happens when I try and get hair done whilst tired. But hey, people have seen Charlie in disarray before. They can work with me in disarray today. I don't think I've actually given any impressions of Black Swan Green over the week. This is a book that has been known by me for at least 20 years, and I did not know what it was about. All I can remember was the title, and it took me a long time to find. For me, this is a great evocation of adolescence, and I think that David Mitchell has managed to do a really good job of talking about a 13-year-old boy's thoughts and the way that a 13-year-old behaves and the social hierarchies they believe exist at high school, and the reason that they aren't able to be their true selves. And I think that Mitchell has managed to get that across incredibly well. Sometimes I do think there is a tinge of the adult's voice in there to explain something away that I don't feel like a 13-year-old would necessarily explain away, but maybe they believe that they have to for the purposes of this story. I don't know. Another, not issue, but maybe issue, I, as you know, really like having cultural references used and using cultural references to pinpoint time. And Mitchell uses a lot of references within this book, and part of me wonders, is it too many or is it just enough? Because, you know, when we are teenagers, sometimes it can be all about the brands. Not for me, because, you know, I was poor, technically below the poverty line growing up. Most of the clothes that I ever had, and actually this is still the case, came from charity shops. So for me, brand names were never this big deal, but I do know that they were for other people, and I know that if you wanted to be seen a certain type of way, then you had to have specific brands in specific styles, and everybody, you know, it's uniformity, isn't it? We hate uniforms at school, but we love uniforms outside of it. Anyway, wait, that did make it sound like I had a fetish for uniforms. I don't. I have a fetish for bank balances, really big bank balances. If you got the cash, then I've got the time. Now I just sound like a prostitute. Well, where's the lie? Anyway, that's Black Swan Green. That is what my feelings currently are. I think that Mitchell has managed to craft a character incredibly well and to encapsulate what it meant to be a child very well. I wasn't alive in the 80s, so I can't say whether this is what the 80s were like, but if you were a teenager in the 80s, then read this book and tell me whether it is a actual representation of what it was like to be a child in Britain in the 1980s. That's me for the week. Watched RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars 9 last night. Not my favourite episode in the world, but some great fashion on there. And hopefully tonight I'll get the chance to watch Doctor Who. I've already had some things spoiled, but that just seems to be the case now that Americans are watching it before I get the chance to, and so they just go straight to Instagram. I need to remember not to open social media on a Saturday morning, but I'd stopped it, you know. Earlier this year I was so proud of myself because I stopped looking at social media and replaced that with going on my Kindle instead, and I read so much more because of that, and it's a practice that I need to try and bring back. Anyway, we'll try that again later on in the year. when I can be bothered to. For now, I'm gonna go and make a cup of coffee and listen to some more Italian music. I think Spotify's playing me this Italian music to say to me, you aren't practicing Italian enough, Charlie, at the moment. Get on it. But we did hit 1,500 we did hit 1,500 days on Duolingo the other day, so my most committed relationship. Anyway, if you've read any of the books that I have mentioned in this video and would like to discuss them, then please feel free to do so in the comments. Alternatively, if you just want to have a chat, we can do so as well. I hope that you have enjoyed this video, because until next time, that is all.